तुम्हारा रिकॉर्डर है, माइक्रोफोन ऑन कर लीजिए।
Garima? Garima, are you there? Garima?
Hello. Hello.
हाँ
Yeah.
गरिमा, हाँ गरिमा, अगर हमारा टाइम हो गया है तो वी कैन स्टार्ट.
Okay, ma'am. I was just waiting for you. Okay. Okay.
We can start.
Okay. Very good afternoon to all of you. I welcome you all in this 2 days national webinar on food and nutrition in present scenario of COVID-19. I hope you all are keeping well and safe. We are in the decade of action on nutrition, and at the same time, we are in the era of COVID-19. COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by newly discovered coronavirus. There is no business unaffected by coronavirus, and food, a basic necessity, managed to create maximum panic as the lockdown was announced. Though measures of self-isolation and social distancing are known to be crucial in limiting the spread of the virus, flattening the curve of the incidence rate, and ultimately disease containment. But there are measures. These measures have severe repercussions on the whole food system and the food environment. The food system includes all the processes involved in keeping us fed, whether it is growing, harvesting, processing, packaging, transporting, marketing, or consumption and disposing of food and packages. Both the external and the personal dimensions impact on people's food environment. External dimensions include food availability, price, vendors, while personal dimensions include geographical access, affordability, convenience, and desirability. In nutshell, we can say that never has a larger spotlight been placed on the food system and how people meet their nutritional needs. Without dedicated action on nutrition, all forms of malnutrition are likely to increase as a result of pandemic's impact on food environment. We have the tools and the know-how. What we need is commitment and action. This webinar should be seen as a call to action to tackle the situation of COVID-19. And this situation can be called as new normal, and for which a multi-level framework is needed. So, to cover the various dimensions of food system and food environment, we have speakers from different dimensions of this issue. And now I will request our principal, Professor Rachna Srivastav, for the formal welcome of our guests.
Good afternoon and welcome to all of you. I see about 146, 147 participants joining this webinar. This webinar is on a very important topic, that is on food and nutrition in the time of COVID. As Dr. Garima has already told you that we are undergoing a severe challenge, and we can see that this is something which we never expected. We had not thought that a situation like this would emerge, and we will be living under lockdown, living within our houses, and also living with very limited means. Now, there are so many dimensions to this problem. There are so many impacts of this problem. There are social, psychological, economic, a number of, you can say, fallouts of this problem. But food and nutrition is very important because we all know that without nutrition, we won't be having a healthy body and healthy mind. When we were discussing in our staff meeting the corona or COVID-19 problem, then all these aspects emerged in our discussions. And the Home Science Department took this challenge of organizing this seminar. You know, we all have been seeing people posting so many pictures of their cooking abilities. They are cooking so many things, so many special foods are being cooked, which otherwise they must not have been cooking. Now, this is about what we can say that a class which has the means, which has all the means, and there is a large class to which all these amenities are not available. Even clean water is not available to them. What about them? the children who had already been deprived, all over the world, not only in India, all over the third world countries, there are so many children who are malnourished, who are suffering for various diseases because of this. Now, what about them? During this pandemic, what must be happening to them? We must think about it. We are responsible citizens. We are teachers. We have to guide people. We have to tell our students as to how responsibly they can behave during this pandemic as regards food and nutrition, not only for themselves, but they should be empathetic towards other people who may be suffering because of this problem, because they are not getting food. I know that so many organizations, so many people are doing a lot of work, but a lot is still to be done. So we are here gathered from our homes, and we will be discussing, we will be listening to our experts who would be telling us about food and nutrition problem, or what we should eat during this time to keep even ourselves healthy, because it is very essential that we should keep ourselves healthy, so that we should keep ourselves healthy so that we do not burden the healthcare system of our country. So one aspect is that, and another aspect is how we can do something for those who are already malnutrition, the children, the people, the women who are the worst sufferers, who had already been suffering and will suffer more because of this crisis. So friends, all of you who have joined this webinar, I welcome you all, our guest of the webinar, the speakers of the webinar, I welcome you. And I really appreciate the Department of Home Science, Dr. Sangeeta Devadia, Dr. Garima, Dr. Anshu, Dr. Sunita, Dr. Priyanka, everyone who has made this seminar, this webinar possible. And of course, our technical assistant, Shri Chandrakant. So now, over to Garima to begin the proceedings of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Experience from previous outbreaks have shown that as an epidemic evolves, there is an urgent need to expand public health activities beyond the direct clinical management. And today, as our first speaker, Ms. Urvashi Prasad, ma'am is a public policy specialist, Office of Vice Chairman, Niti Aayog, Government of India, Support Team, COVID Empowered Group 1, Government of India, Task Force on Sustainable Development Goal Implementation, Founder, Every Voice, Member of Governing Body, WHO Consultant, and ma'am has completed her master's degree from London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. On behalf of Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya, I welcome you, ma'am. And we are sure that we will be benefited from your expertise. I welcome Ms. Urvashi Prasad, Public Policy Specialist, Niti Aayog, Government of India.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this. And I think it's a very, very important topic, that we are discussing today on food and nutrition. Not just, obviously during the pandemic times, it's equally critical. But even otherwise, it's one of our most fundamental pillars. So I think I'll, maybe just share some thoughts on this. And then if there are any specific questions or specific areas that you would like to talk about, then maybe we could do that. So in terms of nutrition, I think, as I said, and you also mentioned in the introductory remarks, that it's one of the most important determinants of good health. And so even in our response against this pandemic, there is a big need to focus on nutrition. And I think this would have to be disaggregated, depending on the needs of different kinds of groups in the population. So there are some people who are already severely malnourished. We know that malnourishment has been around in our country for a very long time. We've seen some of the parameters improve, but improvements have been rather slow. And when we look at anemia in women, we still have almost 1 in 2 women who are in the so-called reproductive age group who are anemic. So these are really still very unacceptable numbers, for us. And so we will have to disaggregate our strategy according to the vulnerability of these groups. There are some groups who are especially vulnerable, and we will have to provide additional sort of nutritional support to them at this time. There are others who might not be malnourished per se, but there is a role for nutrition to boost immunity at a time like this. We've had a lot of discussion on immunity, and there are a lot of different elements, as we know, which can actually boost people's immunity, at a time like this. So this is true for, I think, most of the population, even people who are not malnourished. Boosting immunity at a time like this, when we are faced with a very infectious, disease all around us, is something that should be done in any case. So I think we, at a policy level, we are really looking at a disaggregated strategy. We are looking at the most vulnerable communities first. The government, as you know, even a few years ago, launched the Poshan Abhiyan program. So that, of course, is a major part of what we're trying to do on the policy response. And we're trying to use as many of our the presence of our workers in the fields to ensure that we can reach adequate nutrition to people who need it the most at this time. But of course, the government alone at a time like this is not going to be able to manage the whole response. And that is why we've also linked up with a lot of civil society organizations and a lot of other networks of volunteers, because it's quite possible that the government is missing out on some people who are the most vulnerable at these times, especially during the lockdown. It has been difficult for certain groups in particular, be it the senior citizens, be it women in many cases. Of course, we've had so many issues with the migrant workers and all those other types of groups as well. So I think we're also tying up with civil society organizations in a very big way, because this is a sort of emergency response that needs to be put together at this time. So that we can, at least tide over this phase of sort of this pandemic and where the infection is spreading acutely. The other aspect I think we've been looking at now closely are the urban slums, because if you look at the pandemic, it is still largely a disease of our big urban centers, of whether it's Mumbai, whether it's Delhi, whether it's Chennai. It is still, Ahmedabad, Indore. In fact, the top 10, top 11 cities in the country make up about 60+ % of India's total cases. So India's cases right now are not spread out evenly across the country. They're right now very much concentrated in our big urban centers. So urban slums become a very important area of focus, and we already know that urban slums are very vulnerable in terms of poor, water sanitation in many cases. Of course, malnutrition is rampant in a lot of these areas. So I think that is where it becomes more difficult for us, and that is where our policy response will have to focus now, not just at the central level, but in fact the states, the city governments, because I think the response to this will eventually have to be at a very micro level. We cannot manage this, sitting in one place. We have to go down to very micro levels of where we have the hotspots. Even within cities, there are certain wards which are hotspots. Like in Mumbai, Dharavi, and the 2 wards connected to Dharavi are hotspots, and then we have one more ward which is a hotspot. So we need to develop even our strategies in nutrition and the extent of support we provide in terms of food, in terms of be it vitamins, whatever other supplements that people are looking at this time, to these segments of the population in particular in a very intensive way, because they are anyway the most vulnerable. So I think even the WHO, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, also, she put out a tweet yesterday, and we've had some discussions with her as well. She also was of the view that we need a very separate and focused strategy for the urban slum areas. And I think that is where a lot of our focus, even on the nutrition side, will have to come in during this pandemic, if we really want to address the most sort of vulnerable segments. Because I think we have seen a pretty clear sort of link, even as, I mean, the fact is, this is a new virus. We are learning about it every day. But whatever we have seen so far, people who do have stronger immune systems are obviously being able to, to a great extent, cope with it better. Or they, in fact, some of them have no symptoms at all. In fact, a large number of our people are actually completely asymptomatic or have very mild symptoms. So definitely immunity, or underlying, nutrition, your underlying ability to fight this disease has a huge role to play. And I think that is something which is becoming clear to everybody. So I think the policy, response at this time and going forward, at least in the short term, will have to really identify these most vulnerable groups, whether it's women, whether it's slum dwellers, whether it's the elderly, because we have large elderly people who live in, vulnerable circumstances, and then sort of develop and focus our nutrition strategies accordingly. So I think we have a lot of the basics already in place. We know inherently what is good in terms of nutrition for these groups. The challenge is reaching out to all these people at this time when our resources are very, very stretched, and we are pulled in all sorts of directions. So I think that is going to really be the challenge for us at a time like this. So yeah, I'll stop here, and I'm happy to whatever you would like to discuss or focus on in terms of questions. I think we can take it forward that way.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Your questions are invited. Participants, your questions are invited. Ma'am is with us.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Dr. Neelam from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, madam.
Welcome,
Urvashi,
ma'am.
madam, are you able to? Hello. So,
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
yeah. As you mentioned that we need to focus more on slums, especially because in terms of food and nutrition, or even though the availability of food is still a big issue for them. So in terms of the policy focus, do we have any scheme or any plan or any strategy for them to address the slum specifically?
Yeah, see, I think we, a lot of the schemes, as I said, they're in place. I think it's, it's less about launching a new scheme at this time, but it's more about ensuring that our delivery works on the ground. And I think
True,
that
true.
will be a combination of obviously some support from the center and the state. But I think as we are realizing that it really comes down to a sub-state, district, even sub-district sort of level. So more and more the way our work is evolving is to really develop strategies specifically for, areas which are hotspots, cities which are hotspots, and within them, which are the wards. As I said, in Mumbai, we have identified
Correct.
3 or 4 wards where we really need to make our delivery system work. I think we have the broad schemes, policies. I think India as a country, we are good at creating schemes and policies, but I think our challenge always is implementation, because we are such a
True,
large
true.
country. We have so much diversity. So at this time, I think that is our biggest focus. That we have to ensure that the delivery, especially to these groups, happens in a very focused manner, because they indeed are the most vulnerable. As I said, thankfully the infection has not spread, everywhere across the country, in all our rural areas. That is thankfully not the situation right now, and I hope that we don't get to those levels. But there are certain pockets of the country where
Hello.
we are seeing a very high
Yes.
load. So I think that is where our efforts are to make sure that our delivery system is actually geared up for that. And unfortunately, as you know, we have a lot of disparities between and within states also. So in some states, it is much easier to mount this response. In others,
Yes.
it is more difficult. So those are
Hello.
things that we have to deal with because that's the nature of our system.
Join meeting, join.
So I think we have to, we have all these inequalities, we have all these differences, but I think at this time we just have to put all our efforts together in focusing in on these hotspot areas and do very micro level, sort of intervention. As I said, even within a city, focus on areas where we are seeing the highest sort of load of cases. At least start with a focus on those. So I think that is overall really where the strategy is right now. I think it's less about a new scheme or a new intervention as such, but it's more about delivering what we already know well on the ground in these highly affected communities.
Yes, yes, because they are comparatively more vulnerable than the rural communities because they
Yes,
are having only one source of livelihood options, that is to work in as a labor or any kind of workers in the
yes,
urban areas, and that is also not available for them.
right.
So to get access of food quite more difficult for them. So yes, we can think, or I think there can be a special focus to make some mechanism to ensure that yes, whatever is required for them, they are getting it. So in that direction, till now, there's no effort or any effort has been done in the direction.
No, it is being done. I mean, I won't say there's no effort, but as I
Mm-hmm.
said, there's always differences, between, how well we manage to do these things
Mm-hmm.
in different parts of the country. So I
Mm-hmm.
think those inherent differences we have to live with because, we can't reform our entire system in the middle of a
True.
pandemic.
Yes, yes.
So while living with those inequalities and hopefully addressing them in the longer term by investing in some of these areas, I think longer term it's very clear that you have to invest in these areas if you then want to be able to deal with a pandemic well. Because as I always say that you can't suddenly become well equipped to deal with a pandemic if you have chronically underinvested in these areas for years and for decades. So I think those are longer term issues. But as of
Yes.
now, given that we are in the midst of a sort of a crisis, a pandemic, we have to sort of do whatever best we can in terms of focusing on the most vulnerable segments at this time. So
Mm-hmm.
that will give us the best results because from a policy point of view, resources are always limited. I mean, no one has unlimited resources ever.
Mm-hmm.
And
Correct.
that is why we are also bringing in civil society. We are bringing in whoever can help at this time
Mm-hmm.
because it is a time where all stakeholders need to come together. So I think
Yeah, yeah.
that is where we are right now, and I think it's also important, and this is something that I've been saying as well, that let's not forget all the other diseases when
True,
talking
true.
of COVID. Because everyone's focus right now is on COVID, and that's
Mm-hmm.
natural because we are in the middle of a pandemic. But we
Mm-hmm.
run the risk of reversing a lot of the gains we have made in tuberculosis and other areas if we only focus on COVID. So my
Mm-hmm.
concern right now is not just COVID, but it is also the other diseases that people
Mm-hmm.
continue to deal with. It's not like TB has gone away, it's not like malaria has gone away. All of
Mm-hmm.
those, in fact, now we have the monsoon season coming up, so we're going to have malaria, we're going to have dengue, we're going to have chikungunya. So we cannot forget every other disease also, and if we do that, then actually we run a much greater risk, of sort of losing all the gains that we have made. So I
Yeah.
think I think it's very important to also find that balance between COVID, but also not completely neglect other diseases like TB patients. For TB patients also nutrition, it's a huge issue.
Mm-hmm. True,
So we
true, right.
can't completely forget our TB patients also right now. We cannot forget our HIV patients. So we have to keep an eye out on all other types of conditions also. Because otherwise we might, end up seeing bigger problems due to non-COVID issues than even COVID. So we'll have to keep that balance. It's a very difficult balance to strike. I mean, there's no magic bullet solution to this, but
Mhm.
we have to constantly strive for that.
Yeah, and because of the problem of COVID-19, the vulnerability has been explicitly comes out for the slums. So the way they have to address it, it needs to be more focused because rather this slum people of urban area, other people are comparatively able to manage some way, but
Yes.
they have no alternative, though they have no facility. In fact, some of them are having no identity also. So definitely, as you mentioned, there are other diseases also, maybe contagious, maybe any other kind of diseases that also need to be looked into. So this can be a high time to be more alert to look to the slum especially.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, yeah,
Ma'am,
please.
we have other questions also.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
definitely.
One of the participant has asked whether personalized nutrition and sustainable diet will go hand in hand after COVID-19.
Yes, I think so. I think, COVID will change in many ways, hopefully, actually, both our health, the way we think about our health system, and also nutrition. I think, it's very important that we take away lessons from this to build a stronger system in the longer term. And I think, as I was saying, that, every group has its own unique sort of nutritional requirements. So there definitely has to be a much more tailored strategy. It cannot be a one size fits all, because if you're talking of women, they have their own unique needs. Even for women, depending on the age group, the needs will differ. If you have senior citizens, the needs are different. If you, as I said, if you have very vulnerable populations like the urban slum dwellers, then there the needs are different. So I'm hoping that something like, a more sort of disaggregated strategy, and more, you can call it personalized, but or you can say sort of tailored to the needs of different groups. I think that is something that hopefully will stay as a learning for us after this. And I think, just the importance of nutrition, because for the first time I am actually seeing so many people from the general public also understanding that, nutrition is critical, immunity is so important. Everybody is talking about how do you boost your immunity at this time. So these discussions, I think, are good, because these discussions need to happen in the general public. They need to happen at, among citizens at all levels. And I'm hoping that, because this has started, we will actually see this continue into the post-COVID sort of era as well. And we will get sort of more attention, because I think a lot of our policies also otherwise in nutrition, um, we do try to tailor to some extent to, children, women, pregnant women, etc. But I think it has to be even more tailored. It has to look even more specifically at what is needed for certain vulnerable groups. So I think that direction, I definitely hope that we will take after all of this is over.
Hello. Yes. One more question, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead. I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. The one more question is that as a PM announced yesterday, we need to go a long way with Corona. Then what will you suggest as a specific strategy to follow us?
Yes, I think, I mean, this is so again, I think one is that we are learning about this pandemic every day. This is a new virus for us. Even the best of scientists, do not understand it fully. So I think one thing we have to realize that every day we are learning something new about this. So our learning will keep evolving. What we might know today, that might change, quite rapidly in the future. So I think whatever we know so far, our understanding is that, for quite some time this is going to be with us. In fact, we are not even sure exactly about, when a vaccine might come, whether it will come or not, because, as you know, with a lot of viral diseases, vaccines are not very straightforward. Whether you look at H1N1 or you look at, swine flu, all those other diseases also we've seen in the past, the viruses keep mutating, the viruses keep changing every season. So actually our vaccines also keep changing every season. So we don't know that with COVID, how quickly will we come out with the vaccine, how effective will it be? We have a lot of question marks at this point. Now, on the treatments, we are trying a lot of different treatments. A lot of different trials are underway. In fact, even in India, we have started large-scale trials on Ayush. We are trying to see if Ayush can be an effective sort of preventive measure for COVID. So those trials are underway. And various other trials for treatments and drugs are also underway around the world. So we don't know when exactly we will get that vaccine or get that drug. And that is why I think the Prime Minister said that, we have to learn to accept that this might be around with us for quite some time. And that's not just true for India, but that's around the world. So I think, in fact, even countries which were so far doing well are now seeing second waves of the infection. So I think what we need is, as I said, a very localized strategy. Wherever we have our hotspot areas, wherever we have these outbreaks, we need to really focus on, containment and supporting our patients in those areas, and trying our best that this disease does not spread beyond that. Because if we allow this disease to reach, all our rural areas and all our villages, then we are in for big trouble. So we have to do our best to ensure that it remains confined to these, few major big centers. And within these centers, we have to do everything, whether it's on the health system side, whether it's on nutrition, everything we can do to support our patients. So I think that is a micro level strategy. As I said, a city level, a ward level strategy is what we really need for COVID, rather than sort of a blanket approach, because we cannot be in lockdown forever. We cannot shut everything down forever. So I think that is what he was also trying to allude to, that lockdown is a way of delaying, sort of the spread, and it's a way of trying to buy time to, gear up your system and to prepare and put your strategies in place. But as we start exiting this lockdown slowly, which we are, we'll have to keep our focus on the hotspots in a very big way. We cannot allow Mumbai to become like Italy. We cannot allow Ahmedabad to become like US. So we have to really focus in on these cities and the specific wards within these cities which are hotspots.
Thank you, ma'am. And I think time is over, so we can't take other questions. And over to Dr. Sangeeta Devaria, Head of Department Home Science.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Urvashi Prasad, for your informative talk on impact of COVID-19 on policy action to deliver sustainable, healthy diets for all. I am audible, Arima?
Yes, ma'am.
During your talk, you share your views regarding how the COVID-19 pandemic is causing many changes in daily life, what measures to be taken to maintain healthy lifestyle in this difficult time. During this period, availability and affordability of healthy food is important factor for boosting immunity for all community. Government have a central role in creating a healthy food environment that enable people to adopt and maintain healthy dietary practices. From your talk, we also came to know that involvement of central government and multiple sectors and stakeholders for promoting a healthy food environment for all people, which you discussed very well. Madam, your generous gesture, time and expertise which you share with us all deeply appreciated. Thank you, ma'am. Garima, now you just invite second speaker and introduce.
Yeah, just now we heard Ms. Urvashi Prasad, and came to know that at the policy level, what are being done, and at different levels, how we can fight against corona. There were several questions of participants, but due to shortage of time, we have to move forward. And one of the question was regarding immunity boosting foods. She will get her answer with our next speaker, Dr. Neeru Nathani. It is very well said that amidst the crisis, the opportunities lies. So let us grab this opportunity and return to our basics, our roots, and know about the Ayurvedic system. And let us make food our medicine and not medicine as food. So may I request now Dr. Neeru Nathani. Ma'am is Associate Professor and Head Department of Swasthya and Yoga, Faculty of Ayurveda, Institute of Medical Sciences, BHU. She has a vast knowledge of Ayurveda and Yoga with good academic record, teaching, research and clinical experience. Ma'am is a recipient of Vagbhat Award 2016, Patanjali Yog Gaurav Award 2016, Excellence in Yoga Award 2014, and Best PhD Thesis Award 2015. 3 books are published and more than 50 scientific papers are published. Ma'am has visited South Africa and Reunion Island, France 2016, deputed by Government of India as Ayurveda cum Yoga expert. So I welcome you, ma'am.
Hello.
Dr. Neeru Nathani. Hello, ma'am.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello,
Am I
yeah.
audible?
Yeah, ma'am.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yes, ma'am. Start. You can start, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this national seminar on food and nutrition in present scenario of this COVID-19 era. And especially to Dr. Dharma for taking lots of efforts and whole entire department of region and principal organizer. Just now I have listened the talk of us, our principal ma'am also. So I am very much thankful for organizing this beautiful seminar for the benefit of the community. And in this sequence, my topic is, as you all know, that I have chosen the topic because this is the burning question of everybody, that which type of food we have to take, and this type of food will help in our immunity and how we could be prevented by all infections and infections and about non-communicable diseases. But in this era of COVID-19, the burning point is to prevent from infectious diseases. So here the role of immunity is very much important. And immunity, as we all know, that immunity does not come from on one day. It is a long process. It's a sequential process from the very beginning of life. And our immunity is maintained in the body, even from hello, 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 hello.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So I want to emphasize the importance of food and different practices regarding modulation of our body immunity. And as we know that immunity helps in our physical and mental health both, and practices related to food habits and related to daily routine, both are important, which also helps in body building and body physical and mental strength and health. And our approach should be holistic. Means we have to maintain our physical health, mental health, social health, as well as spiritual health. For this, our food is very much important. And as we all know that without food we can't live. Similarly, without food we can't live healthy, because it is very well listed that Aharo Mahabhashajyam. In Ayurvedic text, it is written that food is the great medicament. Means without food, without wholesome food or congenial food, there is no benefit of medicine. Means with the medicines, we have to take wholesome food also. Only then the full effects of medicine will work. And if a person will not take healthy food, then if a person takes healthy food, then he or she will not become ill frequently. So there is less need of medicine. So, very much important factor is food of our daily routine. Now, this is the time to discuss about the personalized food. Just we are listening just in the previous lecture. So, as we know that in present era, personalized medicines are working. And similarly, in the Ayurvedic text, sounds very that it is listed that personalized food is to be uh, used by every person according to their prakriti or nature, or according to their dose or humors in their body. The characteristics of food has to be like that to maintain the how to balance these doshas and this prakriti of person, human being. So I will discuss about different food habits, different food items, and different spices which can be taken daily in our daily routine to boost the immunity. And from the very beginning of life, from childhood, from neonates, we are taking food, and from since birth, we are taking food. And which type of food makes our health maintain and sustain our life, that is important. Just I will discuss one by one. Yeah, so as we know that in modern context, the modern food and nutrition is mainly based on nutritive values of different foods. However, in Ayurvedic context, Ayurvedic dietetics does not only deal with the specific nutritional content of food like carbohydrates, fat, protein, vitamins, minerals, etc., but it also deals with accounts the food we take in and manner in which we take it, nature of food, our diet, our mode of preparation, combinations of different food items, different food to be taken in different seasons and different places and in different environments also. So the dietetics of Ayurveda is very vast and personalized also. And in this context, first of all, we discuss about the dietetic principles of. Here, I will discuss some very main dietetic principles like food is based on the quantity. Our food is based on quantity of items. How much quantity we have to take. It depends on our digestive power. Uh, if our digestive power is weak, then we have to take uh, um, light food and in less quantity to maintain the digestion and body fire or digestive fire. Similarly, different compositions are mentioned like first ahar includes iron. Under this heading, 8 components are discussed like prakriti, karan or methods of processing, then sanyog or combination of different foods, then quantity or rashi, and days or habitat, kal or time of taking food, and upyog sanskar, rules governing the food, and upyogta, means convenience of individuals who take it. These 8 components are responsible for making our food congenial or non-congenial. We have to consider these things. So we have to follow these rules during different foods. And similarly, in Sushruta Samhita of our text, Dwadash Asam Pravitra are mentioned. During intake of food, 12 factors are responsible. Type of in which type of people Ushna food or Ushnahar is indicated, for whom heat ahar is indicated, for whom dry or rukh ahar is indicated, for whom liquid diet is indicated. Similarly, to diet twice a day, diet single time per day, or mitahar is also mentioned in Ayurvedic text. Mitahar means one third, one fourth part is left of the food. So these things are very well mentioned in Ayurvedic text, which we have to follow. Without mentioning these, without following this, if we take same quantity of food and advise same quantity of food to same age group, that will not be helpful to everybody. It depends on person to person. And one beautiful concept about Viruddhahar or dietetics incompatibility is also mentioned. There 18 components are detailed, like Agni, Matra, Sat mein Dosh, Sanskar, Karm, Avastha, state of health, Paap, cooking items, consistency of items, and then Sampad or richness of quality of that food, and rules of eating. All are mentioned in this text also under the heading of Virudha. We have to uh, monitor these things also. And seasonal consideration. As we all know that there are 6 seasons in a year in India, and so in different seasons, according to the predominance of doshas, we have to manage these doshas and according to the basis of Samanya and Vishesh concept. This Samanya So based on this Samanya Vishesh concept, we have to use the food items in different seasons according to the predominant doshas in that season. And apart from that, now looking these points, it is think that it's thought that it is very difficult what to take, what not to take. But no, it is very easy. And one important beautiful thing is also mentioned: the practices before taking food. Which practices should be done before taking food, which are also mentioned in our traditions. Our Indian tradition is very rich, which is full of different food habits or food practices to be followed. Means food to be taken with uh, attain the high, as we know that food attain the highest position of Brahm in our universe. Hence, before taking food for the betterment of life, it should be worshipped in its full religious and ethical discipline. As we all usually in Indian culture, as we most of the families do in daily life at all 3 times engage in practice. And Acharya Charak has detailed these practices also in the Sutristan of 8th chapter. And these religious practices increase the devotion towards life and have good impact on body and mind also. Uh, we have to practice these ethical practices during intake of food and before taking food. We have to and inculcate these practices in our children also. And now we come to the food items which are most convenient to our for our daily routine, like having a cereal, Shali rice are good ones, and here a medium vulgar is the worst one. It should not be taken in a daily routine. Java or medium vulgar. And in the heading of pulses, mudg or moong dal is best one, and mash or black gram is worst one that should not be taken on daily routine. Under the heading of fruit, Mridvika or grapes are good, or dry grapes are good, and Mikuch or Autocarpus mikucha, or Pahal is first one. Under the heading of salt, Sanda salt is good one. And under the heading of milk, as we all know that cow milk is good, and the cow grit is good. And under the heading of oil, spring tail is good one for the health. This can be good items to be taken on daily routine. Food items are rice, goodman, jug or barley. Mood Gorgongram, Sandav, Amal Ki, Harit Ki, Gidrik or dry grapes, then Patol or Parval, Vastu or Batua or Dadem or pomegranate, and milk and bread. These are the common food items which can be taken on daily routine, and most of the families are taking these things. And we can say that in these food items, all balanced. This includes the all balanced food items, including all nutrients of our balanced food. And apart from that, contraindicated foods are also important. Which food items should not be taken on daily basis. That can be taken for some time, but should not be taken on daily basis. Whatever I have listed just now, that items can be taken daily. But like curd, black gram, and then sprout, malai, chena, and kamal, these food items should not be taken on daily routine. Otherwise, they create the health hazard in our body. And for daily routine in our kitchen is the best uh, doctor of our health, which will enhance the immunity also. Like kitchen spices like turmeric, coriander, black pepper, cumin, ajwain, kimchi or dalchini, fennel, cardamom, and cinnamon or dalchini. These are the natural ingredients of our Indian food which increase our immunity. Lot of researchers have already done on this specific food spices or specific herbal drugs. You can say herbal drugs also on these things that they improve the immunity and prevent the infections from our body.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello,
So,
hello, hello. Should I continue? Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yep.
Hello.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, you continue.
Okay. Okay. So you can mute, common mute to everybody. Hello. Okay. This is about the food items which can be taken on daily routine. It should be avoided on daily routine. And now we come to the different different lifestyle practices which should be followed to improve our health, physical health, mental health, and to improve the immunity. In Ayurvedic context, immunity is related with the rejuvenation of the spine or Vyadi Samatya Dal. So, these practices will improve the Vyadi Samatya. I will discuss in this. And lifestyle, as we all know, that lifestyle means the manner of living that reflects the person's values and attitudes. And the way we eat, perform exercise,
Hello.
yeah,
this is all.
Hello.
yeah. मैंने
Hello.
मैंने क्या किया?
Hello.
Hello, Anju.
Ma'am, you just try to adjust your mic little bit so that the voice can become more clear.
Okay. इसमें जा रहे हैं?
Hello. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
मैम एक फोन का यूज कीजिए,
हाँ
एक
मैं
फोन
बंद
से
कर रही
ऑफ
हूँ
कर
दूसरा
दीजिए।
बंद।
मैम अभी
हाँ,
आवाज
बराबर।
ठीक आ रही है।
अब आ गया? बहुत देर
हाँ,
बाद बताया आपने कि आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
नहीं बीच में
हेलो।
मैम इधर ज्यादा। हाँ अब बता करिए।
अच्छा, शुरू से नहीं आ रही थी अब आई?
नहीं कभी कभी थोड़ी ज्यादा डिस्टर्ब कभी आ रही थी। मैम आप कंटिन्यू करिए।
अच्छा ठीक है। So I discussed about the food items which are beneficial for health and which items should be contraindicated or use. And now we discuss about the lifestyle practices which are beneficial for immunity and which will enhance our body strength
to prevent the infection. So we all know that lifestyle is the manner of living that reflects the person's values and attitudes, the way we eat, perform exercise, take rest, and sleep is also important. And think, plan, carry out our routine work, behave with others, etc., are all included in the term lifestyle practices. And correction in lifestyle can enhance the healing power of our body and even reverse the disease process also. And in Ayurveda, under the heading of Swasthrit, different practices are mentioned as Dincharya, Ritucharya, Dharani, Adharani Vek, on proper sleep habits, then Sadvrit or ethical codes, then Achar Rasayan or ethical codes which improve our immunity are also mentioned to maintain the health and prevention of diseases. Under the heading of Dincharya or daily routine, some specific points I will discuss here, like Danta Dhavan, or as we know that tooth cleaning is essential and twice a day is essential. So with which which items we can do the Dant Dhavan? There is a specific manjan like called Dashan Sanskar Chud, Dashan Sanskar. That is important. That is medicated manjan, which includes the Kali Mirch, Long, Dalchini, Sont, Haritki, Nagarmotha, Katha, and Kapoor, which inhibits the invading of infectious agents or microbes in the mouth, buccal cavity, and throat. So prohibit the upper respiratory infections, and especially the COVID-19 in this era. We can use on a daily basis. And under the heading of, along with the Dant Dhavan or tooth cleaning, Jiva Nirlekhan or tongue cleaning is also very much important, because tongue coating should be cleaned and refreshed daily to prevent the infection. And after that, there is gargling with the lukewarm water added with saline, added with Sandhav Lavan is important. Especially before going to bed, we can do the hot water or lukewarm water gargling to precipitate the microbes in our throat or buccal cavity. And Nasse is also important. Nasse is called nasal instillation. So nasal cleaning or nasal instillation. So under the heading of Nasse, Jal Neti of yoga practices is important, which cleans the nasal passage. And after Jal Neti, we could do the Kapal Bhati to remove the excess fluid inside, excess water inside the nasal cavity. So Jal Neti is to be done with warm water added with pinch of salt. And after that, Kapal Bhati is indicated. And after Nas Neti, oil installation of Anu Tel, installation of Anu Tel on both nostrils will help to maintain the nasal mucosa. If nasal mucosa is healthy, that will inhibit the entry of microbes. Because if eroded surface is there, then entry of microbes will be easy. So we have to maintain the mucosa healthy. Similarly, when this massage is important, our body will be massaged with oil, and our foot should be cleaned. जैसा कि आजकल बोल रहे हैं कि बाहर से आओ तो पैर धो के आओ, जूते पहन के आओ, जूते धो के आओ, ये सारा कुछ, all these things are mentioned in our text under the heading of दिनचर्या. बच्चों को पढ़ाने तो बच्चों को लगता है कि ये क्या पढ़ाया जा रहा है, ये तो हम करते ही है रोज, करते हैं बच्चे कभी कभी, तो कभी कभी होता है ऐसा. लेकिन आज पूरा वर्ल्ड इसी आयुर्वेदिक कॉन्सेप्ट और इसी इंडियन कल्चर की तरफ जा रहा है कि ऐसे हाथ जोड़ के नमस्ते करना और ये सारा, तो इस सबको हम फॉलो करें. और अब हमारे बच्चे भी इस तरफ जा रहे हैं. तो एक तरह से कोविड के कुछ पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव इफेक्ट हैं. तो पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट ये है कि इंडियन कल्चर को, पूरे वर्ल्ड को आज इसकी तरफ, हमारे इंडियन कल्चर की तरफ भाग रहा है. और नो डाउट इन दिस सीक्वेंस exercise is also important, which improves our body strength, and snan or bathing, and cleaning and use of clean clothes is important. All these practices like bathing, then use of clean clothes, and chhor karm or removal of mustache and beard. Uh, these all things cleans our body, and cleaning of foot. All these things are mentioned as ayush in our text. Ayush means maintains our ayu or prolong our ayu or life. So these should be followed, and we are already following, but now we are very sincerely following and advising to others also. So this is about the daily practices which can be done in our daily routine. And during daytime we have to follow this, and then take healthy diet. And during evening and morning time we can do the yoga practices, like some asana and pranayam. And meditation is also very important to cope up with some depression and stress during this lockdown period. So meditation should be done on daily basis. And yoga includes, as we all know, that yoga includes Ashtang Yoga of Patanjali, includes Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So only Asan, Pranayam, and meditation are not sufficient. We have to follow the Yam and Niyam, or basic codes of conduct also. Like Yam includes the 5 practices: Ahimsa, Satya, Aste, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Ahimsa, Satya, Aste, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. So we are not being in contact with so many social gatherings, so and not using so many, not in contact with so many people, and so indirectly away from hinsa, and then we have to follow the satya, truthfulness, and we have to be non-stealing, aste, then brahmacharya or control over our senses, and last one is brahmacharya and aparigraha, means non-stealing of, non-hoarding of all things. In this lockdown period, we are satisfied with limited resources, so these practices are already being followed in this situation. And under the heading of niyam, 5 things are Shauch, Santosh, Tap, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranam. Shauch is with cleanness of our body, which maintains body health and prevents infections. And along with body cleanliness, mental cleanliness is also important, which can be done by the help of yoga and meditation. And Santosh, then Tap, and then Swadhyay, and then Ishwar Pranidhan, or full devotion to God. In this COVID era, and everybody is feeling what to be done, what will happen in future, whether we will be sick or not. So everybody is trying to pray the God, and in this way, Ishwar Pranidhan is being also followed. So Yam and Niyam are also important to prevent the diseases and to maintain our mental health and physical health. And regarding this, Ashtang Yoga is completed, and then during night time, sleep is also important. In Ayurveda, it is that good sleep and proper sleep at proper time is also important, which maintains our body tissues and help to maintain the health and prevent from diseases. And now we come to the rasayan portion. As that food is our rasayan, different medicine. Everybody knows that medicines are immunomodulators, of course, but food is the first immunomodulator. Food, without food can't. So it sustains our life, maintains our body tissue, the best sustainer and best modulator of our body. And then it is some ethical practices also in modulator, which is written in Achar Rasayan, or good conduct, which improves our body tissues or improves our immunity. they are like Satyavadinam, Akrodham, Nivrittam, Madhyamatnat, Ahinska, Manayasam, Prashantam, Privadam. So there are these all ethical practices are it which improves our mental health as well as ethical practices and improves our spiritual health. So maintains the immunity also or rasayan also. And rasayan also. Rasayan means ras means rasadi dhatu. 7 dhatus are in our body. Ras, Rapt, Mas, Med, Dasti, Majja, and Shukra. So whatever food and whatever practices which improve these dhatus are called rasayan. So these practices also help in improving the immunity also. And different deteriorate factors which deteriorate our immunity or vyadhi chamat, like chinta, shobh, bhay, krodh, any dhatu chay or any disease. This decreases our immunity also. So we have to remove this chinta, shobh, bhay, etc. by the help of meditation. This sequence we can see to the summary now.
Hello.
So to improve the hello.
Yes.
So now we can conclude that. Yes. Hello.
We have certain questions, and because of the time.
Yes, I am going to conclude. Yes,
Yeah.
I am going to conclude. So I have discussed about basic food habits, basic food items, daily sleeping habits, daily yogic practices, and daily practices related to food intake, which are helpful to maintain our body strength and no doubt immunity, to maintain the health and to prevent the diseases. This should be followed. And different, we all know different dietary items which have different vitamins and minerals like milk, vitamin sources, vitamin C sources, vitamins and mineral sources. There are long lists in all textbooks and all literature is there. So we have to take that food, and we have to balance food, and we have to live balanced life also to prevent from these diseases and these infectious diseases. Like previous speaker has told that we should not only consider about the COVID, we have to discuss about the other infectious diseases like tuberculosis, etc., dengue, and all these things. So we have to prevent these infectious diseases for long term. From India, we have to eradicate them. So this is my submission, and I take my message is that this period of COVID will too pass, and every breath of life we have to be thankful to the God that about things that we are healthy. First of all, we have to be thankful to God that we are healthy and we are our family members and we have food to eat. Many people in countries we don't have food for daily routine also, but we have to be thankful that we have food also. And in high-tech world, we can connect to our ideas of worldwide, like in this webinar also. And we could spend time in meditation for knowledge and God realization. And this is my take. Thank you very much. Once again, thanks to the organizers.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes. There are some questions of participants.
Yes.
Ma'am, one is question is, how can we wash fruits and vegetables?
Yes. So first of all, when we go to buy vegetables, we should bring some packets from our home. So bring the vegetables in that packets of our own packet, and then bring it. And first of all, left it for a few hours outside home. If they are not damageable, then that can be put in direct sunlight also. And if they are damageable, then that can be cleaned with running water, and then keep it left it for drying, and then that can be used. And most of the time, it is preferred that we can use that vegetables that can be peeled off, like lauki, torai, that can be peeled off, like karela, that can be peeled off. So we can use these vegetables in daily routine, and raw vegetables should be avoided in this time of infection, because we are seeing that many vegetable mandis also are infected, and vegetable buying people, selling people are also infected. So we have to be precautious. Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, other question is that the virus is
Yes.
changing forms or strains. Is there need for different diet plan for different areas to boost immunity?
Is there? Pardon, please.
Is there
Hello.
different question is that, ma'am, virus is changing its
Yes.
form or strain.
Yes, of course. Okay.
So is there a different diet plan for different areas to boost immunity? I think
Yes,
it as a personalized
yes.
nutrition. Yeah, like
Yes, I have told in my discussion
yeah,
that area-wise food items are different. So some food items I have listed that can be taken in daily routine, like दाल चावल रोटी सब्जी जो हम खाते ही हैं डेली, उसमें सारा एक तरह से बैलेंस डाइट होती है. दूध हम पीते हैं, दूध और घी, जिसको कि आचार रसायन में भी अंडर द हेडिंग ऑफ आचार रसायन इज ऑल्सो लिस्टेड, मिल्क एंड grapes. So these items we are taking in daily routine. That is most common for people of every area. So these are the common food items can be taken. And Prakriti-wise, our basic nature-wise also food differs. So that should be followed person to person.
Okay. Can you suggest something regarding Giloy and Shank Pushpi?
Yes, Giloy is the best rasayan. A lot of research is going on and already done. Giloy is Amrita, as its name is Amrita. That is good rasayan. It is a long twig-like structure and heart-shaped leaves, and we can use its kadha also. We can use one finger-size piece of this and prepare the kadha by boiling it in water and left it half. Then we can use it twice a day for prevention of infections and for immunity modulation also. That can be used. And one medicine, that Sanshani Vati, is also prepared by this Giloy, that can also be antipyretic immunomodulator. Yes. And along with Giloy, Madhuyashti is also important. Madhuyashti or लेठी, हम लोगों ने देखा होगा उसका मम्मी लोग जैसे मुंह में थोड़ा सा उसका टुकड़ा रख लिया, चूस लिया, कभी गले में खराश हुई, तो दिस टाइम गले की खराश नहीं होने दें. तो उसके लिए हमें चाहे हम कभी मुंह में लौंग रख लें, या थोड़ा सा कभी, पहली बात तो खट्टी चीजों से बचना है जो कि डायरेक्ट गले पे अटैक करे. तो अगर खट्टी चीजें हम खा भी रहे हैं तो उसके बाद हम गार्गल जरूर कर लें. उसके बाद हम जो इस तरह की, जैसे हम एक कत्था होता है, तो जो हम लोग पान खाते थे, पान में तांबुल सेवन दिनचर्या में लिखा हुआ है, तो दैट इज ऑल्सो maintains the oral hygiene, and this katha is very good. So by help of katha there is a specific medicine Khadiradi Vati, that is very important, that is very good for maintaining the oral hygiene and to prevent the bacteria growing of microbes in the throat cavity.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, the medicines you mentioned, the names of medicines, the medicines are available on the local medical shop.
Yes, not on local medical shops, but on Ayurvedic medical shops they are available.
Okay, Ayurvedic medical.
So we have to buy the medicines of standardized companies that are IU certified or GMP certified medicine should be taken from Ayurvedic stores, like we can take these things. And Sudarshan is also very good for good immunomodulator and antipyretic also.
Okay.
So we can use this Sudarshan Churn also. And
Madhuyashti and this amalki is also important. No doubt in the seasons of fresh amalki is available, then we can use the chutney of amla on daily basis with the food. And nowadays we can use Chyawanprash, and then we can use, if non-diabetic, then we can take the amla ka murabba also. And we can follow the Ayush guideline also, which is very well distributed all over. So we have to follow this Ayush guideline also, which is designed by the experts of Ministry of Ayush personnel. We can consider that one also.
थैंक यू मैम. टाइम की
Yes,
कमी
yes,
के कारण हम और क्वेश्चन नहीं ले पा रहे हैं. हमारे पास और क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं. थैंक यू मैम. नाउ ओवर टू
You can continue.
डॉक्टर संगीता देवरिया.
Okay, Garima. Thank you very much, Neeru ma'am, for sharing your vision regarding congenial food and practices for immunity modulation. Madam, you explained in very simple way how healthy diet is an important part of supporting a strong immune system, and good nutrition is important before and after infection. For maintenance of strong immune system, antibodies and antioxidant plays an important role. And during your lecture, you told many resources of antioxidant which are available in our daily kitchen, and we can use it for improve our immunity. You also, madam, explained how we have to take diet in daily routine. आपने अपने व्याख्यान के दौरान बात में मैम हम लोगों को बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें बता दी कि पथ्यपथ्य चिकित्सा के साथ साथ ही हमें पथ्यपथ्य चिकित्सा में जितना ही मेडिसिन का रोल है उतना ही रोल डाइट का है. इस बात पे आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से एम्फेसिस दिया. और एक चीज जो मुझे और समझ में आई कि जैसे स्वमत और शास्त्र मत अगर दोनों टैली होते हैं तभी हम अपना जो आहार का रूटीन है वो प्रामाणिक होता है और वो हमारे लिए बहुत इफेक्टिव होता है. लास्टली आई कैन से that it is not what we eat but what we assimilate that really make difference in our diet. अगर हम गुड क्वालिटी डाइट ले रहे हैं तो उसका एसिमिलेशन और उसकी एक्टिविटी बॉडी में बहुत हेल्दी वे में होती है और उसका बायोलॉजिकल वैल्यू भी ज्यादा होती है. इसलिए हमें अपने दैनिक आहार में इस तरह की चीजों को ऐड करना है. ये आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से एक्सप्लेन किया. इसके अलावा इन अवेलेबल रिसोर्सेज we must know how to select the right combination of food to attain healthy diet. और एक लास्ट में मैं कहना चाहूंगी कि मैम आपने भी रिकमेंड किया कि जो इंडियन फूड पिरामिड है जो WHO के द्वारा भी रिकमेंड किया गया है उसी पे आपने भी एम्फेसिस दिया है कि हमारे डाइट में एम्पल अमाउंट ऑफ फ्रूट्स का अवेलेबिलिटी होनी चाहिए और सबसे कम अवेलेबिलिटी जो प्रोसेस फूड हैं और स्टार्ची शुगर फूड हैं उनका होना चाहिए. इम्यूनिटी को इंक्रीज करने के लिए विटामिन डी, मेगा D3, इसके अलावा विटामिन सी और जिंक इम्पोर्टेंट है. इन सारी ही बिंदुओं को आपने बहुत सहज तरीके से और इनके इम्पोर्टेंट रिसोर्सेज कहाँ से कैसे अवेलेबल होंगे इस पे मैडम आपने बहुत अच्छे से एम्फेसिस दिया. अगेन थैंक यू मैम फ्रॉम behalf of our institution Vasant Kanya Mahavidyalaya. I thanks you very much ma'am. Again we will meet tomorrow same time for next session. Thank you ma'am. Thank you very much. Garima, any announcement?
हेलो हेलो.
हाँ गरिमा.
मैं एक चीज शेयर करना चाहूंगी. आज का हमारा सत्र पूरा हुआ और अभी कोरोना में कोविड-19 के सिचुएशन में बहुत सारे फूड और न्यूट्रिशन से रिलेटेड सर्वेज नहीं हमारे कंट्री में, बट एक सर्वे मैं शेयर करना चाहूंगी जो हमारे कंट्री का नहीं है लेकिन हमें कुछ सोचने के लिए मजबूर करता है. एक क्रिटियो सर्वे के अनुसार जब लॉकडाउन अनाउंस हुआ तो यूके और इटली में शेल्फ स्टेबल ग्रोसरी को जमा करने की होड़ लग गई. ये तब हुआ जब लॉकडाउन अनाउंस हुआ, लेकिन जैसे जैसे समय बीतता गया ये जो स्टॉकिंग थी इसका पैटर्न चेंज हो गया। देखा गया कि नॉन एसेंशियल प्रोडक्ट जैसे कैंडी, चॉकलेट, इसकी खरीदारी ज्यादा होने लगी। तो लास्ट में बस इसको मेंशन करने का यही उद्देश्य है कि हम एक बार सोचें कि क्या लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में, कन्फाइनमेंट के दौरान हमारा डाइट पैटर्न, हमारा फूड बजट, परचेजिंग पैटर्न प्रभावित हुआ है क्या? इसको ध्यान देने की जरूरत है। और इसी के साथ आज का सत्र समाप्त होता है। कल हम फिर 12 बजे अपने नए सेशन के लिए मिलेंगे। थैंक यू, धन्यवाद।
Thank you.
Okay, Garima.
Okay, ma'am.
Very well organized.
Thank you.
Very well organized program, Sangeeta, and everyone. You did this very well. In fact, this is something new to us, and we are all adapting to it. This way, I can say with much conviction that we are all adopting and adapting. So we will meet again tomorrow, same time, I believe.
Yeah, same time,
same.
12 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you,
Sangeeta,
ma'am.
once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Rachna.
Good to see all you people.
Thank you.
तो चंद्रकांत को बता दो अब जो आगे करना है।
Hello.
Leave the meeting now.
Chandrakant, we can leave.
सब लोग जा रहे हैं 108 99 95 सब लोग डिस्कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं ना।